It's the summertime.
I'm David Callender, and I serve as president of UTMB, and I want to thank you all for joining us today. The theme of today's celebration is excellence in servant leadership, a quality that Dr. King so eloquently personified as a servant leader of the civil rights movement. At UTMB, we strive for excellence in servant leadership every day in all of our mission and support areas, whether we're working in the classroom, in the research lab, at the patient's bedside, or within other areas of UTMB or out in our communities. By promoting diversity, inclusion, civic engagement, and service to all, we, as a group, our students, faculty, and staff, strengthen our ability to advance our mission to improve the health of the people of Texas and beyond.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adiola Oduwale, and I serve as the Director for Diversity and Inclusion at the institution. As Dr. Callender mentioned, Dr. King's contributions to advancing civil rights and equality are steeped in a commitment to servant leadership. As you all know, Dr. King worked tirelessly and selflessly to advance civil rights and fight back against obstacles of discrimination as well as hatred. I'm very thankful that this legacy is what has led this institution to not only recognize the holiday on January 19th, but to also honor the achievements and the contributions of our faculty, our students, and our staff who exemplify those same exact attributes. Our third place winner is Marion Hoover. Our second place winner is Jasmeet Kaur. And now for our first place winner, Paige Animadu. Congratulations.
Kelton was born in Galveston on August 3rd, 1943, and graduated from Central High School in 1961. He graduated from Texas Southern University in 1966 with a BA degree in economics and a minor in history.
You know, one of my very first speaking engagements here in Galveston after the lunch counters were desegregated was at a church. And I spent this long time writing my speech and forgot the speech. I learned a very important skill that I didn't even know I had. I recalled most of what I had written. Well, I find myself in almost a similar situation today. I wrote my speech, and when I printed it out, I realized there's no way on earth I'm going to be able to see the small print. So I will give you a little bit of what I can remember, if you will bear with me. I want to express my sincere honor and appreciation for being invited here today. I wanted to share with you something that I am sure you may or may not know. But the first hamburger, the first meal, was served almost on your campus. It was at the University drugstore here in Galveston, down the street. We walked in. To know all the details, you'll have to buy my book, which I had planned to have it here today, but I'm not going to have it until in March, so it'll be available. I'll make sure that ample copies are around for you to get it. But the first hamburger, when we walked in, because I think all of the activity took place downtown, but it did not, our objective was to see that ultimately all of the eating places were integrated. And I think this is a much better looking room, seeing black, brown, white, and others here today This is what America means. And Dr. Callender talked about the founding of the university, how long it's been here, and the fact that it's always had the kind of values that were inclusive, and it continues to be so. That's what made it easy for us to take on the task that we took on in 1960. The lunch counters here were integrated on April the 5th, 1960. And I document in the book, it wasn't what a lot of you would like to say, Greensboro, North Carolina, or Nashville, Tennessee. They started first, but we got the job done first. And I would like to think that what we have to say in the book is offer something for future involvement. For the struggle is far from over, but it seems to be that we're headed more in the direction of antagonism and polarization, and that's not going to get us anywhere. The reason we were able to accomplish the task of bringing down the walls of what had existed for about 150 years after the Emancipation Proclamation so rapidly was because of the way that it was gone about. I did not ask any of the seniors to participate. Some of the seniors even said to me, as though I'm not supposed to know what happened, well, when he talked to us about it, getting involved, we said, oh, he was the seniors, we weren't going to get involved. Well, they weren't invited to be involved. I was in the 11th grade at the time, and I handpicked the members that I wanted to go down. I've even read some written accounts where a number of the football players have included themselves. That's politics. They weren't there because they were playing football or practicing at the time. That's the reason they weren't there. The people who were able to go were people who were not playing football or running track or doing whatever kids do in school. Secondly, I knew that somebody had to know in the black community who could help us. So T.D. Armstrong was the man who I sought out. I had no personal relationship with T.D., but I called him up one day and I said, Mr. Armstrong, I want to come over and talk to you about something. He said, well, what's that? I said, well, I'll discuss that when I get there. So he invited me over and we talked, and I told him, I said, I'm going to go to jail, and I've invited some of the other kids in my class to go with me. And he said, well, I said, we need your support. Now, you got to understand that Mr. Armstrong partially became a millionaire as a result of providing services to the black community. Okay, you got that. But what this meant was, if we were successful, that the drugstore and the counter, the only counter we could get a milkshake, malt, or hamburger listing was at his lunch counter. And so he thought enough that he didn't hesitate 1 second. He said, yeah, I'll support you on that. And so I said, well, there's one other thing, TD. I said, if we're going to resolve this problem, I said, we need some white people. I personally did not know a single white person on a first-name basis at that time. I said, we need to identify. I said, maybe you can help me with that. He said, Kelton, I want to give you the name of Griffith Lambden, who is now dead, but has spoken at other groups where I was president, and he's told the story himself. And so I called and asked to see him the next day. And I said to him, Mr. Lambden, I'm going to jail tomorrow. I said, I want to know if you can get me out or get us out. He said, Kelson, I have not tried one single criminal law case in my entire life. I am a lawyer to the major corporations in the city. I said, well, maybe I said the wrong thing, but we have a problem, and we need the help of people like you to help resolve it. And T.D. Armstrong says that you're the man he would pick. He said, well, Kelton, I'll see what I can do. But what he did was he called Harris Kempner and others in the community and told them what was about to happen. The first thing he did was to arrange for a police escort to be with us at all times. So, and then they helped get the conversation started in the white and black community. They called the White Ministerial Alliance and the Black Ministerial Alliance and the owners of the restaurants and so forth, and the leaders that they had gotten together and asked them to start meeting. Heretofore, I'm not sure that there had ever been a meeting between the White Ministers Alliance and the Black Ministers Alliance, but they got together and they met. They asked us if we could hold off on the demonstrations, give them a little time to see what they could come up with. In less than a month, the lunch counters were integrated. And little by little, I don't think there's a place in this city or in this entire United States that's a public facility that a person would be discriminated against now because of the color of their skin.
It is a great honor and privilege to invite my good friend, Galveston Mayor Pro Tem, Terrellyn Talton, to present a city proclamation. Thank you.
I'd like to, this is the City of Galveston proclamation. So, whereas the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to promoting peace, freedom, equality, and justice for all through nonviolent means, and whereas UTMB Health continues in its tradition commemorating Dr. King's ideas of peace, freedom, equality, and justice through such events as the annual Community Service Annual Ceremony. And whereas the theme of the 2015 Community Service Awards ceremony is Excellence in Servant Leadership. And whereas the work of the Reverend Kelton D. Sams Jr. has exemplified the teachings and philosophy of the late Dr. King, beginning with his early campaign to end segregation at the lunch counters within the city of Galveston during the early 1960s.
You know, several years ago I was in New York City autographing the first book that I had written. And while signing the autograph, a woman came up to me. The next minute, I felt something that was beating on my chest. And before I knew it, I had been stabbed by this woman. I was rushed to Harlem Hospital. It was a dark Saturday afternoon, and that blade had gone through, and the x-rays revealed that the tip of the blade was on the edge of my aorta, the main artery. And when that's punctured, you drown in your own blood. It came out in the New York Times the next morning that if I had merely sneezed, I would have died. I was born by the river in a little town, and just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
I'm Frank Valulis. I serve on the Employee Advisory Council as its chair. I'm honored to also serve on the Diversity Council. I'm reminded by a quote that is dear to my wife, and we're trying to instill it into our 4-year-old daughter. As Mr. King was saying, if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. So let's all leave here to do those small, great things. I wish you farewell and have a good afternoon enjoying this beautiful weather in Galveston today. Thank you very much.
UTMB Health, working together to work wonders.